one of my boys just the other day said, well, why can't I do what Dad did, you know? And that kind of stuff. Part of it, I don't want him to do what I did, but the other part of it is that, son, it's a different world now than it was back then. But what we had, nobody else had. And nobody else will probably ever have it. Because of the Lord just brought these special people together for a certain amount of time. And this is what came out of it. So it's an honor to have been part of it. And I'm just blessed to be there.
Gonna take a freight train down at the station, Lord. I don't care where it goes. Gonna climb a mountain, the highest mountain. I jump off, nobody gonna know. Can't you see? Oh, can't you see what that woman, Lord, she been doing to me? Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman, she been doing to me?
Okay, we're with Joe McConnell this afternoon, manager of the Marshall Tucker Band. I guess from 73 or 74 to 80?
82, 81, 82, somewhere there. It kind of gets blurred in there a little bit.
So just so you know, I won't be able to hear any of what you're saying. He's gonna have to say all that stuff.
Yes. After I ask the question, or say, you paraphrase it.
Yes.
Pause, and then go on to your rap.
I remember now, Dad.
I told you once, and I told you twice.
Everybody had a garage band in those days. There were about 3 or 4 of them in Spartanburg. And we all got to know one another because there weren't enough concert or gigs to be had for everybody to work every weekend. So maybe everybody get to work maybe one show a month, something like that. So we'd all go to see the other bands play, and that's where we all got to be. You know, just an amalgam of a lot of the more talented guys were from the east side on some types of music, and then the Caldwell boys on the west side of town. And I was able to get invited over from the east side to the west side. My luck. They were the more serious musicians, the only really serious musicians in town, and I kind of gravitated to them. And the next thing you know, they had a few shows, and I was the roadie. And
we were playing at the Ruins. And Georgia told me that Tommy was going to come here to play. And so I was like a little nervous about that. Because growing up, I would go see Toy play and Tommy and them, you know, those guys play. And they were like the stuff, you know, when I was coming up in Spartanburg. And we were playing that night. And I remember this so vividly. Like, Tommy was standing at the back of the room up next to the bar. And I was a junior in high school, 16, 17 years old. And back then, not many people wore cowboy hats. He was wearing a cowboy hat and a Marine Corps trench coat, one of those long coats. And I could see him, and I knew he was checking me out, you know. And so we finished the set, and I walked off, and I walked back to him. And he said 2 words. He said 3 words, excuse me. Are you with me? And I looked up at him and I said, I'm with you.
Wet Willie did the opening act at the Sitar. So just on a moment's notice, we went up there and opened up the show for them, and they took a tape to Phil Walden,
Yeah.
and next thing I knew, we had a record contract. We was in the big time.
He and Toy went down to Macon, and he had this cassette of our demo, and Phil said, yeah, you know, we'll leave it and listen to it. He said, no, You gotta listen to it now while we're here. Toy's going, brother, what are you, that's Phil. He said, I don't give a damn who it is. He's not gonna have my music. Can't keep my music. And so Phil booked us at Grant's Lounge in Macon where everybody jammed and whatnot. And we had played the set too, and he hadn't come in yet. Phil walks in the door, Tommy turns around and said, play the set, run the set down. So we didn't even blink, we just turned around and ran the set down again. And so Phil was dancing in the aisles. That was the quote in Rolling Stone. He was dancing in the aisle. And so he had us up to his office, the next day and signed us to a record deal. And mine was no good because I was 18. I was underage.
You can have fun, I'm telling you can. When stomp your feet to a hillbilly band.
We had to move from town because everybody come downtown and sit around while the band practiced. Finally had to move out of there, and that's when the band got the name and everything because it was Marshall Tucker's practice place that we had. So found this place out of town. I think Tommy found it.
This is a little
No,
house.
Toy found it because he was working with the waterworks then.
Ain't nothing in this world I'd rather do.
And they went in there almost every night of the week, and they practiced hard every night for weeks and weeks, months at a time.
And that's where the jams came.
Yeah.
That's where all those parts, like on the first record, like Take the Highway, and all those jams in that, and Losing You, and all that stuff. That's where all that took place, was down there. We didn't know what we were doing. We just knew we loved it.
I guess
We love the music.
It was truly the birth of Southern rock
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it wasn't country.
Right.
It wasn't exactly rock and roll. It wasn't like anything out there.
Take the highway. Lord knows I've been gone too long. Not a sad day. But they'll turn around and I'll be gone. And the time finally comes for me to pack my bag and walk away. Hear me say.
The music that Phil had signed through the years, and even back then, to the brothers, to whoever, no one knew what this was.
I'll be back someday. But darling, please don't wait for me too long.
Once we got in front of large audiences like Atlanta stadium shows, it wasn't long before we were headlining.
And the time finally comes for me to pack my bag and walk away. Hear me say.
The band made up their mind early on that they were gonna, either make a living at doing this or they were gonna starve at doing this, but they were gonna do it anyway.
Southern rock was hot and heavy at that point. You had Allman Brothers, Charlie Daniels, Wet Willie, Grinder Switch, and Tucker was right there at the forefront,
I rode into town today. In my mind, I said, Lord, I'd love to stay.
Like out on the road, nobody was really ever famous. The band and the road crew, we all just was together. It wasn't, you play guitar, you won't have nothing to do with us, wasn't none of that. It was all, everybody was together. One big happy family is what we were.
They were great. From the time that the house lights would go down and they'd come out and announce the band, the crowd would be on their feet from the very beginning to the end of the night, And very, very moving. One of the best bands I ever worked for.
As the truck was going down the slide and all, I'm coming out of the truck. He's in the sleeper. I'm going to leave him. He grabs me around the neck and says, "You're not leaving me, buddy. If we go down the middle and out to the other side." And the truck was up in the air on the other side. We didn't turn over anything. And as the wreckers came out to pull it away, Arthur would let them hook it up and bend the truck up they pulled the truck out and we went on to do the show in Colorado Springs.
I just fell under the spell of Tommy Caldwell because he made you believe that it was going to happen, so you just never doubted it.
Toy and Tommy were the integral parts. I guess it was their band, so to speak. Tommy was the one who held it all together like the glue.
With Toy and Tommy being brothers, they were able to, like I say, keep each other in check so that they didn't go too far before getting pulled back. Yeah. They might have one go out this way for a while and then one of them pull back, and then the other one goes, so they could kind of keep each other balanced there.
He was an ex-jarhead, Vietnam veteran, so he was a tough guy, and he played guitar just as mean. It's basically all his settings were 10. And most times, there never were very many guitar players who really wanted to stand up and confront him. They'd play with him, but you really didn't want to battle him.
When we'd rehearse at the auditorium for the shows, and jams would start happening, and Tommy'd shut it down. You remember that? He'd shut down, no, we can't go there. I mean, it'd start getting hot, boy, magic would start happening, and he'd go, no, we'd save that. He would never let us rehearse that stuff.
If it were not for Tommy, that band wouldn't have been together.
Toy didn't want to be a leader. That's what people didn't understand. People outside the family didn't understand that, or might not have realized that. That it might appear he's the older brother, he's whatever. He didn't want to be the leader. He never did. He led by his actions, by his songwriting. And his guitar playing, and his encouragement. I know I did learn as much or more music from Toy than anyone on the planet. Just playing with him and just being around him, watching him write a song was like. Stuart Levine said he had never seen music pour out of anyone any more than Toy Caldwell.
When the person who writes something sings it, it comes across so different, whether the quality or whatever, but the emotion is so different.
If I died 23, won't you bury me in the sunshine? Please let me know that you're still mine, though I'm gone. My love for you is oh so strong. And when the grass grows over me, let me know you still love me. Never put nobody else above me, then I'll know my love for you will always grow.
Travis Tritt and Marty Stewart was doing a show in Knoxville, Tennessee for pay-per-view. And they had been closing the show with Can't You See? And I had been hired to light the stuff in the dressing room, the back behind the stage stuff that they were shooting. And the producer of the show knew that I was new Toy and that I was the lighting director for the band. He said, I just wish there was some way we could, incorporate Toy into this, not to mention that it costs quite a bit of money for them to play Can't You See? And, how could they get around that a little bit? And I said, I couldn't tell you how to do that, but I said, I'll call Moon, and Moon can call Toy, and, we'll talk about it and stuff. So we did. I called Moon, and Toy called me back, and he said, well, I know how you can get around it. And I said, how's that? He said, let me play it. I turned around and looked at the producer, and I said, told him that Toy's willing to come here and play Can't You See if you're up for that. And he said, tell him to get in the car and head that way. So we did. The day went on. It took about 3 hours for Toy to get there. And, I came out of the production truck, and I looked over there, and there Toy was. And You know, and I hadn't seen Toy in a long time, and he had gained a little weight and had long hair. I'd never really seen him with long hair before, so it was a little different. And we hugged and talked a little bit, and you know, Toy was you know, the Marshall Tucker Band, but Toy in particular was a big star, and we had done big gigs, and we were used to being treated pretty nice and stuff. Well, they didn't even have a dressing room for Toy at this event and stuff, and I took him down the hall, and we're just trying to find an open door. You know, and so I found one that was open, and I said, man, you know, there's not even a towel in here and everything. He said, that's all right, man, no problem. And I felt bad, you know, because this guy's an incredible guitar player, and he's a star. And so anyway, he was okay with it, and we went on, the bands came on, and they played their sets, and Marty Stewart did his, and Travis Tritt did his, and then it was time to close the show, and it was time to do Can't You See? And Toy had dressed all in black, and he had his black cowboy hat on. And the lights went out, I brought Toy on stage, and he walked up, and he was facing the drummer, and he has back to the audience. And nobody had introduced him or anything. And the lights came up, and Toy hit the first note of Can't You See? And turned around and walked down stage playing Can't You See? And 25,000 people stood up and started screaming. And it was the most incredible thing that I'd ever seen. And Marty Stewart and Travis Tritt sang Can't You See with him. And he played his heart out. And when it was over with, he walked over to where I was, and I was going to take him down. He said, how'd it sound? And I said, I'd never heard it any better. And that was the last time I saw Toy. Like I said, he passed away the same day my daughter was born. So he owes a special place in my heart.
It's their Saturday night.
All right, yeah, we on TV. We're gonna do one more song for you tonight. Try to get this place shaking a whole lot. It's called Rambling on My Mind.
1, 2, 3.
I got rambling on my mind, Lord. Gotta find me a woman of a different kind. Not gone, Lord. I got rambling on my
There was no separation between the band and crew. There was no separation between who was working for who or who was working. There was no separation between the band and the audience. We were all one, and that's what the power of love is, and it was discovered back then.
Double doors over here, chained shut. A car came crashing through the doors, just tore the doors out, broke the chain obviously. Two guys jump out of the car and run into the crowd.
In terms of just watching how people operate and stuff, as we were playing a gig in St. Paul, Minnesota, and we were playing in this minor league ballpark, so there's probably 20 and 25,000 people in that park, and I saw that band scared because the opening act was Carlos Santana, and he went out there and slew the crowd. And, you know, there was, I think, some question as, oh, what do we do now? You know, and one of the things they did was turn the sound way up, get their attention.
And the crowd loved them because Marshall Tucker Band was one of the best live bands I've ever seen or heard, you know. I mean, they could flat do it, you know. There's bands who are good on record, and they were definitely good on record, but live, you couldn't touch them, you know. There's some people who don't play that well live, but they were hot every night, you know. When you got through with a show at night, you were tired and they were tired.
What they put out on stage, you know, together, you know, along with the rest of the band was just incredible. When I think of the good old times, you know, the first band that comes in my mind is the Marshall Tucker Band.
Hijinks and shenanigans that's unmentionable nowadays. You go to jail, hell, you'd be thrown in prison for years.
When my lady comes home to me, oh, when my lady comes home to me.
We played Madison Square Garden, and 50% of the audience had on straw cowboy hats. And when the lights went down and the lighters went up, I can remember the hair on my arms standing up. I'd never felt that electricity in a crowd like that night.